Start streaming. Hopefully that does work.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna bring out a bunch of the bear.
Oh, the voice roll must be real small.
That could end.
That should work now. I'm pretty sure.
Let me check.
Yes. Are you guys?
Rec
can
on
you guys
live
hear us?
anime. Rec Room is live.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. We had a little bit of scheduling issue. I think someone did a scheduling thing, so it kind of messed up everything there. Give us a second. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we are live. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. Please no consumables in the room. That's all I'm gonna ask already. You will be vote kicked if you spawn consumables. Thank you.
I will move this last one. Okay.
Alright. Alright, let me at least do this. Get this ready. Alright, we're gonna restart from the beginning, I'm assuming.
Okay. Yes. I'm sorry about that, guys. All right. Here we are. We're good.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the AMA number 19, live from RecCon. I'm Jay, and I'm with Radiant Blur.
Hey everyone, great to see you.
And today we have a creation-focused AMA. We'll be taking questions from the Reddit thread we had and from the YouTube live stream comments. So please do type in your questions. Harry will try to get some to ask from you guys. All right, let's get started. The first question comes from Big Jesus, and they ask, why don't donuts actually look like donuts? The hole is too big. Will there be a much needed fix for this?
So it didn't even occur to me that the donuts weren't what anyone would expect. So I actually did some investigative journalism on this one, and I spoke with our culinary artist who made donuts, and she said that they are based on raised donuts rather than cake donuts. And specifically that raised donuts are superior, so I don't imagine they'll be changing anytime soon.
Oh man, I really wanted to have cake donuts instead. Darn. Alright, this next question comes from Joe Mike Moe 365, and they ask, will we ever see a role setting to change the size of a player?
Oh yeah, this is a great one. I don't know if we are set up to do this. It would be really fun though. This is the kind of thing that we don't have a hard principle to stand on for it. It's just unlikely that it ever sorts to the top of the list of things that we would tackle next. I think the most helpful thing we could do as a group here would be spend a little bit of time getting to know what's important to you about the idea and like how you would use it or what sorts of dynamics you're trying to create in your rooms where you would need this. We don't have any immediate plans to give you the ability to change your size, but this is more 2021 stuff where we are looking at making what you can do with costumes a lot more robust, a lot more flexible. So depending on what you're after, I'm not quite sure what solution would be a best fit there. I don't know if anybody has any ideas they'd want to share with the group.
All right, we actually have one from Jordex. Give me a second. All right, don't move. Now you can speak.
Okay, my idea is technically how people could make different kinds of hide and seek rooms and games, or they could also make games like where a giant's supposed to kill the smaller people.
Does the giant always win?
Try. The other people can actually shoot at the giant. Giant has a lot of health, and they could kill the giant, but it's technically a two-team game. But it would work, technically, like how it could work would be, the giant would be like about to the roof here, and the small people would be probably about the size of that railing.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a cool idea. A bit of like asynchronous play styles there. And I would imagine if you're trying to make something terrifying, that'd be a great way to do it. Yeah, and for that case, probably making your entire self much bigger would be the better fit rather than a costume, because it's important that like your hands are equally proportioned to your body and stuff like that, rather than just putting you up very high. That makes sense.
Yep.
Any other crazy
right.
ideas?
Anyone?
Or I'm happy to move on to another question.
All right. Never mind. We had someone and they said never mind.
I think we'll probably have a
else?
couple
All right.
others like that.
Yeah. If you have any ideas of how you could do this, please drop it in the building channel on the Rec Room Discord. I'm going to be compiling some really cool ideas you guys come up with. All right. This next question comes from Crispy Chicken Nugget, and they ask, with the terrain builder, can we also expect weather settings like rain and snow? Speaking of the terrain builder, will there be a dev blog about its current state?
Oh yeah, so at a high level, definitely giving you more control over some of the visceral aspects of your environment in your rooms is definitely something we're interested in doing a lot more of. That said, it's unlikely that we would bind them all up in a terrain system. We'd much rather build the system to be more independent parts that you could use together on your own, but they're capable of working independently as well. So as an example, the terrain tool will be a great way to create a bunch of geometry to run around on. And it would even have things like a nice texture for snow. It doesn't directly impact the environment in your room. For that, think of improved functionality with things like ambient audio or better and more particle effects for things like snow and rain and wind. In addition to all the existing capabilities we have for moods, you'll be able to get a really wide range of your own custom weather effects that are independent from the terrain system, even though they could work together really nicely with it.
Cool.
And as far as a dev blog goes, I would imagine that absolutely once it's closer to production tool and less of prototype, and we're very confident in what we're going to roll out, I would expect you'll see a dev blog on that one for sure.
Awesome. That's really cool to hear. This next question comes from Den Marcus, and I can relate to this one very deeply. Are there any plans to improve the sampler audio quality?
Yeah, this one is definitely something we've felt internally as well. We have Rai Guy who builds experiences with our own tools. He did Tomb Heist most recently, and before that he worked on Capture Point.
Capture Point.
And yeah, that was another one where Gribbly wrote the music for it. I did some sound effects for it, but we really held ourselves to capturing that audio and playing it back in game via the samplers. And just like you guys really struggle with it, it's kind of sad to see the amount it degrades in there. I spoke with the developer who implemented this originally, and at least as of the time we built it, the big constraint there is the storage space on the server. And I know we're not planning to change the storage situation on the server anytime soon, but we might be able to do something like give you the option to increase the sample quality if you opt for a shorter clip duration. That's something we considered back then but didn't do. Is a credible option.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah, samplers are really a thing that could make a room have more immersion. So hearing that sampler quality maybe one day could be increased is really good to hear.
Yeah,
That was
it's
not a
definitely
pun.
one of those things where if the degradation is so much that you notice and it really draws attention to itself, it kind of pulls you out of the experience. That's definitely a bummer.
Yep. This next question comes from M_RR, and they ask, will we ever see a fix for shapes looking terrible on Quest 1 and Quest 2?
Yeah, so this is one we can't promise anything. We can always do work to improve it, and it's unlikely we'll ever get it perfect, but we're definitely currently working on, we have a pretty deep dive going on into how we render shapes on all of our platforms, and it could have a really positive impact on specifically how things render in the distance on low-end platforms. But it's highly uncertain stuff that we're really just prototyping now. But the big idea there is that we would save memory for rendering and that things on low-end platforms would look a lot more like they do on others. So we'll probably have more to share on that as we get into next year.
Awesome.
Particularly, it'll be nice to save room on memory and have things looking better because we have things like the terrain tool coming up.
Yep. All right. This question is from Dragon Rat Tiger, and they ask, are there any plans for physics-based creation tools, like jointed objects and the ability to for heavier objects to push them, or lighter objects floating on something like water, or even the ability to create wind to push objects like in disc golf propulsion?
Okay, so we have a lot of developers on vacation at the moment, so I didn't get a chance to check in with Votivator, who would be the one implementing a lot of this stuff, and he didn't get a chance to tell me no. So I will say that we definitely have aspirations for sure, but not exactly plans yet. We're still in the process of ironing out a bunch of things about how objects are composed in UGC going forward, and specifically the physics relationships between objects and within those objects. So once that's in a great place and we're sitting on a foundation for a lot more playful physical relationships with objects, we'd love to add things like thrusters, joints, hinges, but we have some vegetables we got to eat before that. We got to firm up how objects are composed.
Cool. I would actually really like to see joints someday. I know a lot of people also do. Joints would be really cool to have, for sure.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right, we have 5 rapid fire questions coming from A Few Good Tacos, and they are:
All right.
why don't we have the live player counts on the room info page?
That's question 1.
Yes, that is question 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is definitely something we could change over time as our servers evolve. Currently, the interval that we can update room player counts is long enough that that info is likely to be stale or out of date by the time you check it in-game. But that's a solvable problem for sure. A simpler kind of short-term step we've discussed would be the ability for at least a room to just say whether there's anybody in here, not even necessarily how many players there are. And I know that would make the browsing experience for people who really just want to connect with other players a lot better. Don't have a timetable for when we might change something like that, though.
All right. The next one is, why can't we hide the stage light body and only get its light shape, similar to how we can hide the parts of doors and other objects with this ability?
Gotcha. Yeah, so I've had a lot of interest about the stage light come up, and specifically the ability to toggle off the canister for it. I spoke with the artist who does the updates for all of our props, and what she told me is that it's an older and pretty complex prop that it's like a skinned mesh and has a bunch of animations. Definitely hear the request. It's just that I think the art team would prefer to give you a less heavy, less ink heavy, more flexible version of this. So early in the year we're looking at rolling out our transparent materials. Hopefully that's something you could get a lot more directly what you're after with that, rather than having to use a stage light and manipulate it a bunch.
Awesome. Why do objects have Z-fighting when they're off in the distance while being viewed on Quest and Quest 2? Will that be fixed soon?
Wait, Z-fighting's bad? I think this is essentially the same answer as the one where we're looking into how we're rendering shapes and hoping for some improvements on low-end platforms there. But still, no current plans to roll that out or announce it yet. We'll see. It wouldn't be until next year, though.
Alrighty. Yeah, Z-fighting, I don't really like Z-fighting. It's a pain, for sure.
Yeah.
Why do the posters take up more ink than a Polaroid? Takes up 0.83% while a Polaroid is 0.80. The posters have an interactive UI, but none of it does anything. Well, when will this be hooked up so we don't have to have extra link buttons next to posters?
Okay, yeah, so I did work with the dev who implemented the showcase posters, and I'm fairly certain that the additional ink that you see there is because showcase posters have dynamic resizing capabilities to accommodate the different types of content and fields that you can enable and disable. So things like descriptions and stats, as you turn those on and off, the poster resizes. And we felt that having one that was just slightly more expensive was preferable to kind of loading up the palette with a whole bunch of different static variants. And even if it did save the ink, it would be a really small amount. And then in terms of having interactive buttons, that was something we discussed in the first version. And what we essentially decided was let's roll them out now instead of holding and waiting to add those buttons before we ship them. And our hope was that people would use them in conjunction with the link buttons. And people are doing that, but I think what we're seeing is some people would like an even more elegant one where they can build the interaction into the poster. At least that's what it sounds like to me there. And I like that
Yep.
idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'll share that feedback with the team.
Awesome. And the last one is when will we be finally able to pull images from rec.net and use them in Rec Room?
Yeah, this is a really good one. I've been waiting for this feature forever. It's a really exciting thing. And so I spoke with our team who is working on some camera-related features right now. And a couple interesting things that they wanted me to share is I don't think we've officially announced anything in Rec Room yet, but they encouraged me to let you know that they're working on a version of a photo roll that applies to rooms that we're going to roll out quite soon in-game. So to start, we'll be building photo rolls that will surface about in your room details, in a room's details page. You can just browse through what are all the photos taken in this room and sort them by who's in them, which ones are favorited, how many cheers they have. And we're hoping to learn by rolling that out, where the bugs are, what are the ways we can make it better, to ultimately then roll it out to players have their own photo rolls and they can browse the photos they've taken and print them as Polaroids. I think that's going to be amazing.
Yes, I've been waiting for this for so long too. Be able to
Yeah,
print pictures. Yeah.
I feel like I've probably said this and will say this 10 more times in the AMA, but stay tuned early next year. That they're working on that stuff right now, probably rolling it out very early next year.
Cool stuff planned for next year, basically. Awesome stuff. All right. This question is from Yoy65. I have no idea if I pronounced your name correctly. I am sorry if I did not. When can we expect keys and invention selling to go out for all Rec Room Plus members? Do you also have an estimate for when we can trade our tokens for money?
Cool. Yes. So I did get a chance to chat with Beboz on the econ team, and what he recommended I share is that starting next week, all Rec Room Plus members can sell keys and inventions. So that's exciting. And then they're still putting together what are the details and the first steps in our creator compensation program. Here's another one. Early next year, we're going to start rolling that out, but we don't have any tangible details to announce just yet.
Cool. I can't wait to see.
But yeah, I know they're really excited about it, and they're always talking with creators who are active in that community and kind of hearing them out and seeing what's important to them.
Yeah. I can't wait to see all the keys and inventions people are going to be able to sell. It's going to be really cool.
For sure.
All right. This question is from Gravy Sheep, and they ask, do you have any knowledge on when the collisions on the new shapes will be fixed?
Oh, yeah. So the new shape collisions, it's all kind of bound up in that rendering investigation we're doing right now. So no changes anytime soon, unfortunately. If I have a tip, if you already know this and you're still just don't want to use the workaround, then disregard. But one thing that you can do with these shapes, if the collision is problematic for you, is go ahead and set them to be just decoration, and then you can use invisible collision to approximate them if you're using them static in your environment.
All right. This question is from Chills I Give, and they ask, will the upcoming vehicle system allow us to move players upside down or make them roll in any way? And are air vehicles going to be possible?
Okay, so I'll slice that into two. So the first one is a really, really interesting question. It's one of my favorite kinds of things to work on because there's two major components to it, like whether you should be able to go upside down. So the first one is just the experiential side, like should it be possible to build a vehicle experience where the player's orientation updates with the vehicle or seat they're occupying? This one will definitely take prototyping to validate. But definitely from what we've seen you creators out there already building with your roller coasters, and if you look at things like flight sims and those ideas, we certainly want it to be possible for creators to build those kinds of experiences. Not certain whether that would be, 100% one-to-one update of your orientation as you went around like a loop-de-loop or something, or whether it would like snap to the cardinal directions. That's the kind of things we need to learn as we prototype. So yeah, the experiential side is the first half, and then the second component that we want to make sure to take seriously is just the comfort side, like the player side preferences portion of it. So even if you imagine it's totally possible to go upside down through a loop-to-loop, depending on your own comfort level and your platform, you may not want to actually experience it that way. That might be the kind of thing that would cause someone to rip their headset off and be really uncomfortable. So this is another big prototype area with a wide range of acceptable outcomes, and we just have to build to figure that out. But yeah, the answer is that we have a lot to learn. We certainly intend to support moving players upside down. And we just want to make sure that there's options player side to mitigate discomfort if you're in a room that does it.
Cool. Yeah, I would really love to see roller coasters being done. I'd just love to see an amusement park. Someone just built
Yeah.
a whole amusement park in Rec Room, and there's like a bunch of roller coasters you can go on. That would be awesome to see.
Yeah, for sure.
sure.
And then, with regards to specifically flying vehicle support, I have no doubt that as soon as we release the components to build ground vehicles, people will do a really great job of approximating flying vehicles. But I do anticipate that, down the road, next steps, there will be ways, maybe gizmos that are more directly tuned for flying experiences.
All right. This next question is again from Afuga Tacos, and he asks, has Rec Room learned any lessons from fixing issues that the team thought were not a big deal and then find out that it actually was? For example, fixing the animation gizmo inside circuit boards and updating the room page UI but leaving out features and updating the info and room image. Still can't believe you guys did that. Does the UX and engineer team not talk to each other very often?
Okay, so one, I want to just say it's totally fair for them to be frustrated by those changes, specifically that they pointed out there. And I think for step one, we had these happen a year or so ago when we were working on Stunt Runner, and we were really disappointed in how much we accidentally affected a lot of rooms out there in the wild. So some changes we made as a development team is to do things like this a lot more often, is get up in front of our audience and talk to you creators and hear the things that you're frustrated with. So totally acknowledge the pain there. And then the second thing is we've learned a lot of painful lessons with this kind of things over the years. And one thing we realize is we can be a lot more proactive about getting early versions of tools out into hands of players before we commit to rolling them out more widely. So today, Circuits V2 is the only thing we're using the Creative Tools beta for, but we plan to use the beta flag more generally to get signal on tools and changes to tools early. So that way, if we do something silly or something that breaks the rooms that you have, we know about it before it goes live. And then the other thing we're doing is we have somebody named Joker who's doing a really good job of formalizing the process of rolling out changes that, looking down the road and anticipating things that could get impacted by changes, things that are depending on existing workarounds, and then creating that dialogue with us so that we know when we're going to go work on something like glass and give you a transparent material, we're not just breaking the existing versions of glass that are out there, and we can provide a supported alternative to it. Specifically with the room page UI, yeah, that's definitely a pain point of updating to our new UI, and the team responsible for that change recommends that you can make those customizations via RecNet in the meantime. It's definitely ideal that you can resume making those updates in-game, and they're working to have that back as they port it to the new room UI, or the new Rec Room UI.
All right, sweet. This question comes from Dr. Grape. When AI is fully developed, will we get the ability to push them with impulse volumes?
Oh, yeah, so this is actually the kind of functionality that Circuits V2 is really good at. And it's highly likely that this will be possible even before AI is fully developed, or to a point where we consider it as mature as it's going to be. Similar to the V2 version of a trigger zone, when we plan to update all the volumes like impulse volumes and bounce volumes, they'll be able to interact with objects in addition to players. And we're currently changing a bunch of things under the hood to make it so that all the things you create in Rec Room are objects with shared basic functionality. And in that world, you could impulse a player or something like a basketball or even an AI.
Cool. That's really cool. Yeah, you could probably make a trampoline, have a basketball trick shot.
Yeah.
Bing.
Blast an enemy and have it recoil into a bounce volume and shoot across the room.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah. All right. This question is from Zing, and they ask, recently, the ability to hide players has made a ton of new games possible. However, players reappear when you get too close to them for moderation issues. Will this be changed?
Yeah, so I spoke to the trust and safety team, and essentially what they expressed is that they're really glad that you're finding interesting applications for this one, but we don't have any immediate plans to expand the role functionality. It is a thing that could change over time, but I wouldn't expect anything anytime soon.
Alrighty. What I'm assuming is if you really want this to happen, I'm pretty sure there's a candy post for it already. Just go upvote that candy post to show that you guys want that support sooner than later. Alright. This question is from Airhorn Who, and they ask, what do you plan to do with Circuits V1 in the future?
Yeah, so Circuits V1 will never entirely go away. So if you just love to work with it or you prefer to do certain things with it, you'll always have that option. That said, once Circuits V2 is at functionality parity with Circuits V1, it will essentially trade places with Circuits V2, to where Circuits V2 is the system that we present as the sort of default go-to option, and we ask new users to see it as the default. And then at that point, Circuits V2 will be available as a legacy system that you could opt into, and we sustain in maintenance mode. So it's there. You just have to go out of your way to find it. It's kind of like how Circuits V2 is today. But yeah, we'll maintain it. It'll continue to work, but we just won't be adding brand new features to it.
All right, cool. At least it's not leaving. A lot of people were actually fearing that it was just going to completely be removed from the game. So
yeah, there's no way we could. Well, I should say it would be very hard to ensure that your rooms that you already built continue to work if we were to just gut that whole system and get rid of it.
Yep.
So it's extra work, but we're really happy to continue to maintain it, just so that the things that you built continue to work.
Yeah. This question is from Dr. Grape. Again, they ask, is there any reason why Emitter V2 did not receive new emitter options? The Sound Effects V2 chip received plenty of new sound effects. Can we expect the emitter to receive some love at some point?
Oh yeah, that's a great one. There is a reason that we didn't add new emitters to it. It's just not a very exciting one. It's just that we actually haven't built any more emitter content than what we made available in the original release of the V1 emitter. So there's just nothing to add to it yet. Compare that to the sound effects gadget. We've got a ton of sound effects that we added for things over the years, different tools, consumables, and game modes. And it was really just a matter of exposing what we had already built and put into the game there. But totally hear the desire. I'd love to give the emitter some much needed love next year, as you say. There are plenty of effects that people have been asking for a long time. In addition to that, with Circuits V2, we have the ability to give you some more real-time control over various aspects of how they emit. So things like their size could change over time or the rate that they come out. So yeah, I think probably next year we'll have a let's give some love to emitters ship.
Sweet. This question is from Harrison. Hi, what's the timing like for the terrain tool?
Okay, yeah, still no firm dates yet, still being prototyped, but early 2021 is very likely. If things go really, really well, we're hoping to get some incomplete but testable versions of it available in the game even earlier than that, and we'll keep you posted if that happens. Keep an eye on that
Awesome.
on the Creative Tools beta flag.
Cool. That's awesome to hear. This question is from Vismo777, and they ask, what are ink costs looking like for the terrain tool so far? And will terrain have low poly on lower platforms like other shapes do?
Yeah, so the short answer is that yes, the terrain on low-end platforms will be lower poly at shorter distances. Ink costs are a long way from being sorted out yet, but we're planning for a dynamic level of detail system that can change over distance. So I'm not as tech savvy as folks who are actually building the system, but what we intend is that the terrain looks visually very similar up close on all of our platforms. And as you look out over the distance, the geometry simplifies the farther you get away from it. So if we're on dramatically different platforms, we should still see the same features in the terrain 10 to 20 meters or so away. But then, you might be seeing simpler things on a phone at one distance versus somebody on a really high-powered PC would be seeing higher detail. But yeah, pending some more tangible ink costs to work with, the bar we're setting ourselves here is you should be able to make something of comparable size and detail to Frontier Island for Rec Royale, all within your ink budget, and expect that it runs performantly on any of our platforms. We know it's a tall order, but we care a great deal that all the players get a comparable experience, and so we're spending the time to make sure that we do a good job there.
Cool. All right. This question, also after this question, we're going to take a bunch of YouTube chat questions. So Harry,
yeah.
you might want to get some ready.
All right, guys in the chat, let us know some community questions.
This question is from EthanCast1234, and they ask, will we ever get the option to get zero gravity in rooms? And I would like to add to this question myself, if we might ever see the ability to change the direction of gravity per players in the future.
Okay, so the zero gravity idea has come up quite a bit recently. And I think we've seen some really, really competent approximations of the effect out there in the wild. It feels like another one that we don't have a hard principled stance on, but it's something we would like to offer as flexibility in your rooms. It'd be great to hear more about the sorts of ideas that people are wanting to build with this. Jay, for your specific question, the idea of wanting to set gravity in a specific direction, that one's a little bit crazier, honestly. I don't know if that's something we could supply as stock functionality. It's something I've worked on projects before that had this dynamic in place, but I know it involves a lot of pretty big systemic changes to how the whole system works.
Yeah. It would still be a really cool thing.
I could see like people could, oh, I see. So you could approximate it by rotating the world, but you're looking for individual players are minding different gravity directions at different times.
Yeah, so you could have a player like I'm here, and then someone is upside down looking at me there, and someone's on the wall looking at me there. Like that.
That's a wild idea. I have no idea how to implement it, but I would never say never.
All right. Harry, do you have any questions from YouTube?
Yes, we have quite a few questions. So our first question comes from Art on RR. He asks, could we possibly see an implementation on update mechanics on new Rec Room Originals, such as grab, climbing, wall running, etc.? For example, running on walls, new laser tag, paintball maps or quests.
Okay, so is it like an iteration on the mechanics, or is it versions of our RRO games that support those mechanics?
I believe
if it's the latter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so we don't have any plans to sort of overhaul the canonical here's how paintball is for most players who just match into it. But we have often entertained the idea of having like weekends where paintball gets shaken up and changes, and I could see doing a wall running weekend in paintball or something like that.
Awesome.
And then the other thing I would say on that one is you could make a copy of the room yourself and change to support those, and host an event in there.
Oh, that's really great. Yeah, you can make your own, so that's really amazing. Our next question comes from Let's. He asks, optimization of drawing on screen mode has created a bug where it draws gradients at the end of the lines. Will this be fixed soon, or it has been a month already?
Yeah, I don't know what the current status of that one is. I honestly don't really have an answer. I'd have to check in with the team that does that optimization.
Gotcha. And I did also see an interesting question earlier on the stream. Someone asked, will it be possible to enlarge our dorm rooms in the future?
Yeah, I think the dorm rooms, we're looking at various ways of customizing certain aspects of them. I don't think size is one of the first ones we're doing. We're looking at doing support for moods and recolor and things like that. So yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath for size anytime soon.
Oh, great. And this wouldn't be an AMA without asking this question. When is go-karts coming out?
Go-karts. I think Tyler's going to build go-karts out of Circuits V2. Tyleo.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's it for. I'm gonna get more questions. You want to ask more questions, or are you ready for more? All right. Let's see. There's more questions. Let's see. Will there be sort of?
Sure.
Okay. Getting a lot of questions of more like when is Rec Room coming to the Xbox? We have no idea when yet, or do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I think we still don't have a date to announce on that one. It's underway. We're hoping it's soon. We will keep you posted. Nothing new to announce though.
Yeah, a lot of these questions are more like kind of request questions, like when will we see the 2020 shirts being released? People are asking about that as well.
Don't have an answer for you. Sorry.
I would assume in 2021.
Yes, I believe so. Yes. And will there ever be an ink upgrade by Beanman? He says. I guess asking about the capacity of the ink.
Oh, yeah, the ink capacity.
Right.
So it's the kind of thing that we are always looking for optimizations and ways to trim it down. So those we will announce those as they come, but we currently don't have any plans to announce like a big expansion to the amount of ink in rooms or anything like that.
Oh, gotcha. Soundwave asks, Rec Room has oh, go ahead. Sorry.
We're currently in a state where we want to get things to crash less and perform better, and we're holding ourselves to we want to reap those improvements without increasing the ink cap, and then once we're stable there, we'll look at finding ways to introduce more ink, raise the ceiling there.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, look out for that, guys. Soundwave asks, Rec Room has been introducing features to enhance creative aspects left and right. What features, chips, etc. can we expect in the near very near future that will help creators improve their creations? I think that's kind of out there.
Yeah. So, the sort of headline ones, the big overarching themed ones are Circuits V2 is ongoing. We've been working on it for a long time. We're releasing new features of Circuits V2 every couple of weeks, and we're getting a ton of really good feedback from you all as you build out new mechanics that weren't possible before. Circuits V2 is still in the Creative Tools beta program, but early 2021, we're hoping to get it to a point where it's at parity with V1 and beyond, where you can do anything you would have with V1, but you can do a whole lot more. So look out for Circuits V2 coming out of beta. That's the biggest one. And then the other one is the terrain tool, which we showed in our Future of Rec Room video. We have prototypes. We hope to get a testable version of it in-game before the end of the year. But yeah, terrain is a big one.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's something really exciting to look forward to, guys. Cringe is key asks, any plans for just allowing changing in outfits during games? It clearly can be done through glitches, but why not make it official? I don't know about that one. Yeah.
Totally fair. I'm not aware of any plans to change that soonish, but I'm happy to kind of go back and reflect that feedback to the team.
Oh, gotcha.
I would like to suggest making this a room option because my room, Murder at Cedar Mansion, is a murder mystery, and we actually have a rule that says never change outfits during game, because otherwise people are not going to recognize, like, you can just murder someone, change outfits, and be like, oh, I didn't do anything.
Oh, right.
It's
that
like
makes sense.
I could see that being a bit of a game breaker in that case.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe having it as an option would be the best case for this.
Yeah, that makes totally sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
C Atlas, he asks, will the feature of handholding set as planned on Canny come with, bring later to the team building exercise? Being able to throw my friends up a rock wall would be pretty cool. That's hilarious.
a great idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. I can say from using the early versions of it, you could not throw your friends, but maybe that's something we should consider adding in.
Yeah, that's really creative, guys. Keep it coming. Let's see.
Oh, especially if you could do, like, climbing up, extending your arm down to grab hands and then pulling them up.
Oh, that'd be really neat. Yeah.
Let's do 3 more YouTube questions, and I have one last here from Reddit.
All right. We're seeing a lot of vehicle questions, so I'll get one out of the way. People are asking any vehicle news since the big announcement we did on the video.
So nothing new to announce for vehicles. If you haven't seen the Future of Rec Room video we posted a while back, check that one out. That is a prototype that one of our developers built, and really that wasn't to showcase what vehicles are going to look like or anything, but it's meant to demonstrate sort of the spirit of how they will feel to drive around and the kinds of interactions you'll get on terrain. So yeah, we're still looking into what's the experience of driving the vehicle feel like, what are the things you can customize, how you go about customizing it.
Oh, that's really amazing, just being able to see that. All right, there's a really common question seeing here on the chat. No surprise here. When is Rec Royale coming to Quest 2? And will it be able to any updates on that?
Yeah, so all I can really say for sure is that we are working on it right now. We are looking specifically into saving a bunch of memory on low-end platforms that struggle with that gigantic environment and everything in it. I had chatted with the devs working on that about a week ago, and they were saying it's looking really promising. So I think that what they were saying at the time is that getting it onto Quest 2 is what the plan is, and then it's unlikely that we will get memory reductions to fit onto Quest 1, so we'll see.
Oh, very awesome. Yeah, that's really exciting news. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people looking forward to that. Let's see.
There's a lot of people on phones who can't play, a lot of people on Quest 2s who can't play, and as a person who plays a ton of Rec Royale, honestly, I think the biggest gift of updating that would be lower wait times. More people playing it, lobbies turning over quicker.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's gonna be really exciting to see that. Especially the optimization would be a lot better, right? Running Rec Royale for sure. So we have a lot of people asking about, would it be possible to add watch skins in the future?
I love the watch skins idea. Certainly, it's possible. I don't know if there's I don't think there are any current plans to add watch skins to it, but I would say I think if it's not in the canny as a request, I will pester the team who does all of our skins and our consumable items and just let them know, hey, there's passion for it.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for the questions. Jay, you want to take it away?
Yep.
All right.
All right. This last question from Reddit comes from Nolan, and they ask, first, will we ever see the zero gravity ball from Paddleball in the palette? Second, will we ever see creation tools for music creators? Artists have the 2D canvases, 3D artists have the Maker Pen in general, and programmers have circuits, but there isn't much for musicians.
Oh yeah. My goodness, audio so often gets overlooked, doesn't it? I think, what you mentioned with the sampler it's the kind of thing that can make all the difference in an experience or a mechanic even. And today in Rec Room, you have such modest few options for how to be inventive with audio. I don't know if Trunks is comfortable with me calling him out, so I'll speak generally here, but if you're interested in music composition and you know who Trunks is, you might want to ask him about his awesome CV1 based music system sometime. That said, I'd love for there to be more ways for someone to create music in Rec Room, and especially if they're not a certified circuits wizard like Trunks is. Like you say, there are some folks who bring scripting skills to a project and others who are really creative with like just the art. But as our ecosystem matures, I expect it will become more and more viable for people with really diverse talents to cooperate and specialize. And it'd be super cool if their talent was really just, hey, I can make great music and I'm a composer, for them to meet up with a group of other developers and just make the soundtrack for their game right there alongside their friends in Rec Room. I think that's so cool. As I look through the project breakdown that you guys did for the RecCon video where they list out all the people who worked on projects, there's so many times where it's like the circuits expert and the artists and the person that did the UI. I want to see more and more like this is the composer, this is the person who wrote all the music and did the audio.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah, but no plans to announce, unfortunately, aside from just expressing I totally agree that we could do a lot more there, and I hope we do someday.
Sweet. So we have about 10 minutes left. Is there anything else that we want to do during those 10 minutes?
I'm happy to take any, so this is a creativity-focused, or a creative tools-focused AMA, but I work on the RRO games, and I was around for, the early days of building all that stuff, and the quests, and the paintball game, and laser tag, all that stuff. So if there's more creative-focused questions, happy to take those. If there's RRO games focused questions, happy to take those too.
All right. I'm going to get a microphone real quick so we can... Seb, you want to give the microphone to who we playing at?
Yep. Check.
All right. So let's start with OnDog, who is waving hands.
All right. So my question to you guys is, will you guys be adding the whip grapple from Crescendo to the Maker Pen anytime soon or in the near future? Same thing.
I wish I remembered the reason we didn't put it in when we initially put the whip in. Without remembering exactly what it was, I can't really give you an answer. I know that we tried and there was some hang up we had. I'll have to get back to you on that one. I don't know how, but we don't have a policy against adding it in. I know it was just a technical snag.
All right. Next.
But yeah, I'd love to give it to you guys.
We have Is Chair here.
It's come over.
Alright, so with the terrain builder, is there going to be any plans to be able to import 3D objects into your world?
Could you tell me a little bit more what you mean about importing, like specifically to the terrain tool?
Well, more like you make your own like buildings and stuff as like background, and with the terrain tool you can add that to like a background. Like with a program like Blender, you can create objects and stuff and you can export it and put it into Rec Room.
Oh yeah, so we're not planning to open it up to ingesting arbitrary 3D assets from other sources. So if you're hoping to get that out of the terrain tool, that's not going to be available, unfortunately. But you can use anything that you built in Rec Room, so you could make inventions out of it, put it into your same rooms that you're using terrain in.
All right. We have Yoshiro in the back.
I'll come to you. Only halfway.
Alright, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I can hear you.
All right. So a little question. It has a little bit creative. It's a little bit related to creativity. Because I remember Rec Room once announced that they were going to implement the ability to log into Rec Room and use the Maker Pen without internet in order to like create a blank canvas. Is there an update in relation to this feature?
Great one. I'm taking a note down right now to ask about it because we haven't done a general update on that. But yeah, can you speak a little bit more to sort of your scenario where you would find this valuable and how you would imagine it works with your other general Rec Room experience?
Well, as an individual that likes to showcase VR to friends, family, and sometimes even random people, I try to showcase different kinds of VR experiences, from rhythm to shooting to exploration games, and Rec Room kind of fits in the bill of a creative game. So having people be able to create virtual reality, walk around it, and pretty much see what it can be done with VR, it's pretty cool. However, sometimes when you have a headset, you don't have internet to really hook it up. So I would at least see that being useful to me, and I think other people might find it useful as well, so they can keep creating even.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing.
All right. So let's do Nolan and then Snowy Wyvern.
So, in the Reddit question that I asked, I know you talked a bit about potential concepts for creative options for musicians, but I also asked about the paddleball from
Oh, yeah.
the Zero Gravity Ball paddleball. Is
Yeah.
there anything you can share about that? I know it was talked in a couple of AMAs previously before.
Sorry, I totally glossed over that part of the question. The honest answer I have is I don't know why it's not in there, and I think the thing I'm going to do is just in our test branch add it in and see if it's safe. I'll just post into our developer channel and say, hey, does anybody have any concerns about this? And we'll try it out. But there's no policy reason why we wouldn't want to give you the zero-G ball. It's a fun tool. It's fun to use in any environment. It'll bounce around.
All right.
Sweet.
So this person I don't think has a microphone.
Oh.
They ask, will laser tag ever get some love?
So I'm curious what kind of love that you would like to see laser tag get.
New maps.
I would say new maps for laser tag aren't crazy and could happen someday. They're not currently on the roadmap. I love laser tag. 2 maps is fun, but it definitely gets old playing on the same 2 maps over and over.
Yeah, for sure.
Any ideas for a theme for a new laser tag map?
Ninja Samurai Quest.
Ooh, that's a good question. Oh, well, if you have an idea, type it in the room chat. We'll see what comes up.
Yeah.
I turn around, everyone's agreeing. They're nodding.
I know people have cited before.
So Snowy says, I don't have an
Paintball
idea
has-
right now. Sewers. Interesting. Space.
Space? Ever thought
Maybe a
of doing
space station.
Sewers.
Oh,
That'd be
you know,
cool.
we talked about zero-G.
Ooh. Interesting. Yeah, space would be really
That's a
cool.
fun
I
idea.
agree.
Oh man, you could like toss your weapon from one side of a map to the other side, pass it to your friend,
I'd like that.
float
Yeah,
it
that would-
across.
Warehouse.
Yeah, I see in the comments
Gulag.
zero-G laser tag map.
A Jumbotron one would be interesting. We already have Rise of Jumbotron as a quest, using the same type of weapons as well. So
Oh yeah, actually, you know, in the early days of laser tag prototypes, before we had an environment to build in, I took if any of you played multiplayer shooters in the really early days of like N64, often the multiplayer maps would just be kind of truncated, chopped out versions of the levels from the campaign. And I did that same thing with Jumbotron. I took hallway 2 and I just added a couple extra hallways onto it and made it have a circular flow, and we fought laser tag in there. It was really fun.
Nice. All right. Let's see. So I've seen you raise your hand for some time. Let's go to Mary BM3.
So I have two questions. One is about RROs. This year during winter, are we gonna have snowball fights again?
I love the snowball fights.
Are you talking about the snowball piles outside of the rec center?
Yeah.
That, I think, I don't want to speak for, I don't think there's been anything decided. I know that we were talking about putting snow back out for the rec center. I don't know if the snowball piles were part of that plan.
Okay. And
But yeah, those are fun for sure.
yeah. For creative tools, are we ever gonna be able to mirror the rec room, like the props that you guys made? Like for example.
Oh,
the
so
curtain
yeah.
wing. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. So not just the shapes that you've built, but you want to like mirror a prop. I'll have to follow up on that one. I don't know whether we plan to support it. But yeah, I totally get the desire there. Rather than having to flip a curtain around and use the other one, you would just like to invert it essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. In the back here, let's go to Gentle Duck.
Thank you. Will we see any future updates where we can prevent players from using inventions in our rooms? Because I know that's a major issue, especially with like Maker Pen classes, where we should be able to allow them to use their Maker Pen but not inventions, because I know we have some bad apples in Maker Pen teaching, so I don't know if there's any updates or any ideas that we might see down the road.
Yeah, particularly for classes, that can be super disruptive. Yeah, I'm happy to reflect that feedback back to the team. I know it's not a new request, but it's something that we can, especially if you chime in on the Canny and post your use cases there. It's something that we can elevate.
Yep. All right. So let's do 2 more questions, and our time is going to be up. So let's do Ink Sands.
Where are you?
Right there. Seb, to your right.
Oh, right behind me. Cool.
Okay. So will you guys ever be adding the wiggly bodies back?
Adding, I'm sorry, I couldn't really hear the last part. The wiggly what?
Wiggly
The
bodies.
wiggly bodies from 2016.
Oh.
Will you guys be adding those back?
I believe we're not planning to add those back.
But you technically they're already a thing. If you create a room and you go to the farthest bottom of that room, your body becomes super wiggly. It's funny to see.
Oh, okay. You could have Miles from World Origin neck dodging.
Neck dodging and dodgeball. That was funny to see, but also sometimes it was annoying.
I want to say maybe someday when costumes are a lot more capable and you can hide parts of yourself, you might be able to use gizmos to make your body wiggle. But that's not a promise.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
All right, and one more thing right here. I haven't seen your hand. It's been raised for a while. Yeah, let's go to Soul.
I've seen this around. Do you think there's any plans for like textures on the ground for different seasons?
Are you saying, is this like a terrain question? Like in our terrain tool, would we do different season textures?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the current version of our tool, we have things like dirt, grass, and then something like snow could be applicable on there, but it'd be less positioned as these are seasonal and more just if you want it to look like winter, you can use snow. Is there more to it? Like, is there something to the seasonal aspect that you think wouldn't be covered there?
I think that's a no.
Okay.
Chicken no.
Okay, so yeah, if
I do want to ask, like on that same topic of textures, depending on the seasons, I wanted to also ask or say that it would be really cool one day if, like how we have the rec center 2 years ago that switched to winter with the snowball fights, if we could just have a seasonal change somewhere like the dorm room or the rec center. But then thinking about it, there's also different places in the world where they don't really have those seasons. So
oh sure, yeah, you might be in a climate where it's always icy or it's always snowy, or sorry, it's always sunny.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, I think the way we tend to think about things like the rec center and the dorm room is that it's sort of agnostic of a specific place on Earth. It's just this imaginary place that everybody experiences the same weather at. But
Sunny
if you want to
24/7.
do, yeah, if you want to do a specific weather or climate in your rooms, we want to give you more and more tools to control that.
All right, cool. I think that's it. Yeah, that's our time that's up. I want to say thank you all so much for watching Rec Room AMA 19 live from RecCon, and basically thank you so much to everyone who is at RecCon this weekend. It's been a really fun weekend, and I can't wait to do it again the next RecCon next year.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Yep, thank you everyone.
Ooh, let's have some
All
music.
right.
I want to
see
get
you
back
guys
to browsing all the art booths.
Yep, we'll see you guys in the AMA 20, probably next month when that happens, with Harry as well, when he's going to be there.
All
See
right,
everyone.
guys. Thank you guys so much. We'll
Thanks,
see you guys
everyone.
soon. Bye, everybody.